Day 66. Joshua 7-9. Joshua chapter 7. For the sins of Achan, the Israelites were defeated at Hai. The offender is found out and stoned to death, and God's wrath is turned from them. But the children of Israel transgressed the commandment, and took to their own use of that which was accursed. For Achan, the son of Shami, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zari, of the tribe of Judah, took something of the anathema, and the Lord was angry against the children of Israel. And when Joshua sent men from Jericho against Hai, which is beside Bethel, on the east side of the town of Bethel, he said to them, Go up and view the country. And they fulfilled his command, and viewed Hai. And returning, they said to him, Let not all the people go up, but let 2,000 or 3,000 men go, and destroy the city. Why should all the people be troubled in vain against enemies that are very few? There went up therefore 3,000 fighting men, who immediately turned their backs, and were defeated by the men of the city of Hai, and there fell of them 36 men, and the enemies pursued them from the gate as far as Sabarim, and they slew them as they fled by the descent. And the heart of the people was struck with fear, and melted like water. But Joshua rent his garments, and fell flat on the ground before the ark of the Lord until the evening, both he and all the ancients of Israel, and they put dust upon the arts. And Joshua said, Alas, O Lord God, why wouldst thou bring this people over the river Jordan, to deliver us into the hand of the Amorite, and to destroy us? With God we had stayed beyond the Jordan as we began. My Lord God, what shall I say, seeing Israel turning their backs to their enemies? The Canaanites, and all the inhabitants of the land, will hear of it, and being gathered together will surround us, and cut off our name from the earth, and what wilt thou do to thy great name? And the Lord said to Joshua, Arise, why liest thou flat on the ground? Israel has sinned, and transgressed my covenant, and have taken of the anathema, and have stolen and lied, and have hid among their goods. Neither can Israel stand before his enemies, but he shall flee from them, because he is defiled with the anathema. I will be no more with you, till you destroy him that is guilty of this wickedness. Arise, sanctify the people, and say to them, Be thou sanctified against tomorrow, for thus saith the Lord God of Israel, the curse is in the midst of thee. O Israel, thou canst not stand before thy enemies, till he be destroyed out of thee, O is defiled with his wickedness. And they shall come in the morning, every one by a tribes, and what tribe soever the lot shall find, it shall come by its kindreds, and the kindred by its houses, and the house by the men. And whosoever that shall be found guilty of this fact, he shall be burnt with fire, with all his substance, because he hath transgressed the covenant of the Lord, and hath done wickedness in Israel. Joshua therefore, when he rose in the morning, made Israel to come by the tribes, and the tribe of Judah was found, which being wrought by in families, it was found to be family of Zari. Bringing that also by the houses, he found it to be Zabdi, and bringing his house man by man, he found Chan, the son of Chami, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zari, of the tribe of Judah. And Joshua said to Chan, My son, give glory to the Lord God of Israel, and confess, and tell me what thou hast done, hide it not. And the Chan answered Joshua, and said to him, Indeed, I have sinned against the Lord, the God of Israel, and thus have I done. For I saw among the spoils a scarlet garment, exceeding good, and 200 sickles of silver, and a golden roll of 50 sickles, and I covered them, and I took them away, and hid them in the ground in the midst of my tent, and the silver I covered with the earth that I dug up. Joshua therefore sent messengers, who ran into his tent, found all hid in the same place together with the silver. And taking them away out of the tent, they brought them to Joshua, and to all the children of Israel, and drew them down before the Lord. Then Joshua, and all Israel with him, took Achan, the son of Zari, and the silver, and the garment, and the golden roll, his sons also, and his daughters, his oxen, and asses, and sheep, the tent also, and all the goods, and brought them to the valley of Tor, his sons, etc. Probably conscious too, were accomplices of the crime of their father. Where Joshua said, Because thou hast troubled us, the Lord trouble thee this day. And all Israel stoned him, and all things that were his were consumed with fire. And they gathered together upon him a great heap of stones, which remaineth until this present day, and the wrath of the Lord was turned away from them. And the name of that place was called the valley of Achor until this day. Achor, that is, trouble. Joshua chapter 8. Ai is taken and burned, and all the inhabitants slain. An altar is built, and sacrifice is offered. The law is written on stones, and the blessings and cursings are read before all the people. And the Lord said to Joshua, Fear not, nor be thou dismayed. Take with thee all the multitude of fighting men. Arise, and go up to the town of Hai. Behold, I have delivered into thy hand the king thereof, and the people, and the city, and the land. And thou shalt do to the city of Hai, and to the king thereof, as thou hast done to Jericho, and to the king thereof, for the spoils. And all the cattle ye shall take for a prey to yourselves. Lay an ambush for the city behind it. And Joshua rose, and all the army of the fighting men with him, to go up against Hai. And he sent 30,000 chosen valiant men in the night, and commanded them, saying, Lay an ambush behind the city, and go not very far from it, and be all ready. But I, and the rest of the multitude which is with me, will approach on the contrary side against the city. And when they shall come out against us, we will flee, and turn our backs, as we did before, till they pursuing us be drawn farther from the city, for they will think that we flee as before. And whilst we are fleeing, and they pursuing, you shall rise out of the ambush, and shall destroy the city, and the Lord your God will deliver it into your hands. And when you shall have taken it, set it on fire, and you shall do all things so as I have commanded. And he sent them away, and they went on to the place of the ambush, and abode between Bethel and Hai, and the west side of the city of Hai. But Joshua stayed that night in the midst of the people, and rising early in the morning, he mustered his soldiers, and went up with the ancients in the front of the army, invired with the aid of the fighting men. And when they were come, and were gone up over against the city, they stood on the north side of the city, between which of them there was a valley in the midst. And he had chosen 5,000 men, and set them to lie in ambush between Bethel and Ai, on the west side of the same city, 5,000. These are part of the 30,000 mentioned above. Verse 3. But all the rest of the army went in battle array on the north side, so that the last of that multitude reached the west side of the city. So Joshua went that night, and stood in the midst of the valley. And when the king of Hai saw this, he made haste in the morning, and went out with all the army of the city, and set it in battle array toward the desert, not knowing that there lay an ambush behind his back. But Joshua and all Israel gave back, making as if they were afraid, and fleeing by the way of the wilderness. But they shouting together, and encouraging one another, pursued them. And when they were come from the city, and not one remained in the city of Hai or Bethel that did not pursue after Israel, leaving the towns open as they had rushed out, the Lord said to Joshua, Lift up the shield that is in thy hand towards the city of Hai, for I will deliver it to thee. And when he had lifted up his shield towards the city, the ambush that Lee had rose up immediately, and going to the city, took it, and set it on fire. And the men of the city that pursued after Joshua, looking back, and seeing the smoke of the city rise up to heaven, had no more power to flee this way or that way, especially as they had counterfeited flight, and were going toward the wilderness, turned back most valiantly against them that pursued. So Joshua and all Israel, seeing that the city was taken, and that the smoke of the city rose up, returned, and slew the men of Hai. And they also that had taken and set the city on fire, issuing out of the city to meet their own men, began to cut off the enemies who were surrounded by them. So that the enemy being cut off on both sides, not one of so great a multitude was saved. And they took the king of the city of Hai alive, and brought him to Joshua. So all being slain that had pursued after Israel, in his flight to the wilderness, and falling by the sword in the same place, the children of Israel returned, and laid waste the city. And the number of them that fell that day, both of men and women, was 12,000 persons, all of the city of Hai. But Joshua drew not back his hand, which he had stretched out on high, holding the shield, till all the inhabitants of Hai were slain. For the children of Israel divided among them the cattle and the prey of the city, as the Lord had commanded Joshua. And he burnt the city, and made it a heap forever, and he hung the king thereof on a gibbet until the evening and the going down of the sun. Then Joshua commanded, and they took down his carcass from the gibbet, and threw it in the very entrance of the city, heaping upon it a great heap of stones, which remaineth until this present day. Then Joshua built an altar to the Lord, the God of Israel, in Mount Hebel, as Moses, the servant of the Lord, had commanded the children of Israel, and it is written in the book of the law of Moses, an altar of 10 stones, which iron had not touched, and he offered upon it holocaust to the Lord, and immolated victims of peace offerings. And he wrote upon stones the Deuteronomy of the law of Moses, which he had ordered before the children of Israel. And all the people, and the ancients, and the princes and judges stood on both sides of the ark, before the priests that carried the ark of the covenant of the Lord, both the stranger and he that was born among them, half of them by Mount Gerizim, and half by Mount Hebel, as Moses the servant of the Lord had commanded. And first he blessed the people of Israel. After this he read all the words of the blessing and the cursing, and all things that were written in the book of the law. He left out nothing of those things which Moses had commanded, but he repeated all before all the people of Israel, with the women and children, and strangers that dwelt among them. Joshua chapter 9. Joshua was deceived by the Gibeonites, who being detected were condemned to be perpetual servants. Now when these things were heard of all the kings beyond the Jordan, that dwelt in the mountains and in the plains, in the places near the sea, and on the coast of a great sea, they also that dwelt by Libnus, the Hethite, and the Amorite, Canaanite, the Pharisite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite, gathered themselves together to fight against Joshua and Israel with one mind and one resolution. But they that dwelt in Gibeon, hearing all that Joshua had done to Jericho and Ai, cunningly devising, took for themselves provisions, laying old sacks upon their asses, and wine bottles rent themselves again, and very old shoes, which for show of age were clouded with patches, and old garments upon them. The loaves also, which they carried for provisions by the way, were hard, and broken into pieces. And they went to Joshua, who then abode in the camp at Gilgal, and said to him, and to all Israel with him, We are come from a far country, desiring to make peace with thee. And the children of Israel answered them, and said, Perhaps ye dwell in the land which falls to our lot. If so, we can make no league with thee. But they said to Joshua, We are thy servants. Jehoshaphat said to them, Who are ye? And whence came you? They answered, From a very far country thy servants are come in the name of the Lord thy God. For we have heard the fame of his power, all the things that he did in Egypt. Unto the 2 kings of the Amorites that were beyond the Jordan, Sihon, king of Heshbon, and Og, king of Bashan, that was in Asaraph, and our ancients, and all the inhabitants of our country said to us, Take with you victuals for a long way, and go meet them, and say, We are servants, make you league with us. Behold, these loaves we took hot, when we set out from our houses to come to you. Now they are become dry, and broken in pieces by being exceeding old. These bottles of wine, when we filled them, were new. Now they are rent and burst. These garments we have on, and the shoes we have on our feet, by reason of the very long journey, are worn out, and almost consumed. They took therefore of their victuals, and consulted not the mouth of the Lord. And Joshua made peace with them, and entering into a league, promised that they should not be slain. The princes also of the multitude swore to them. Now 3 days after the league was made, they heard that they dwelt nigh, and they should be among them. And the children of Israel removed the camp, and came into their cities on the 3rd day, the names of which are Gibeon, and Kephirah, and Beroth, and Kiriathaim. And they slew them not, because the princes of the multitude had sworn in the name of the Lord, the God of Israel. Then all the common people murmured against the princes. And they answered them, We have sworn to them in the name of the Lord, the God of Israel, and therefore we may not touch them. But this we will do to them, and the lives be saved, lest the wrath of the Lord be stirred up against us, if we should be forsworn. But so let them live, as to serve the whole multitude in hewing wood, and bringing in water. As they were speaking these things, Joshua called the Gibeonites, and said to them, Why would you impose upon us, saying, We dwell very far off from you, whereas you are in the midst of us? Therefore you shall be under a curse, and your wreath shall always be hewers of wood, and carriers of water, into the house of my God. They answered, It was told us, thy servants, that the Lord thy God had promised his servant Moses to give you all the land, and to destroy all the inhabitants thereof. Therefore we feared exceedingly, and provided for our lives, compelled by the dread we had of you, and we took this counsel. And now we are in thy hand. Deal with us as it seemeth good, and right unto thee. So Joshua did as he had said, and delivered them from the hand of the children of Israel, that they should not be slain. And he gave orders in that day, that they should be in the service of all the people, and of the altar of the Lord, hearing word, and carrying water, until this present time, in the place which the Lord in Tizon